I want to send my deepest condolences, our thoughts and prayers to the families and the friends of the workers who lost their lives after an explosion took place in a West Virginia mine yesterday.
The consoler-in-chief today at the White House after that terrible tragedy in West Virginia where 25 miners lost their lives.
We talked yesterday about that being a fun day to be president. This is a little less fun. Top Line starts right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Rick Klein.
Each weekday, we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics.
And it's twitter.com/thenote to stay informed all day long. You can let us know what you think.
Get us started, sir. What's your top line today?
Nuclear options. The Obama administration outlines a new nuclear strategy this afternoon. This is a long-awaited revision in the previously existing strategies. And this is classic Obama, David, because it defies easy labeling. You've got both the left and the right looking at this and saying there's elements they don't really like in this. But it does seem to be pretty clearly moving toward the goal the president has talked about, which is that world without nuclear weapons. We're not there. We're not even close to there. But that is the overlying premise.
And Robert Gates said a couple weeks ago that is a goal that the president doesn't expect to see in his lifetime, our lifetime. That is just an ideal place that everyone would like to get. But whether or not this complicates getting Republicans on board for the ratification of the treaty that he's going to sign with Medvedev in Prague this week is the big question right now. Shake up. Yes, Michael Steele still trying to turn the page from this latest controversy over spending and discipline at the RNC. He accepts the resignation of his chief of staff and now puts in place Michael Levitt as the new RNC chief of staff. This is a Steele loyalist from his 2006 campaign. And now you see Steele loyalists really at the top of this organization. Whether or not we see if that means a different kind of RNC in the coming weeks is something we'll continue to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know if this move, it really changes the criticism that you saw before. Putting in someone who is essentially an insider and a Steele loyalist, as you mentioned, and the fact that it's the chief of staff. That is your number two in an organization. This is your hand-picked person, the person that's running the organization for you. This is pretty close to saying, yeah, I know I've been telling you I don't have a problem, but actually I did have a problem after all. Back-to-back, pack your bags for 2 weeks yet again. If you like those back-to-back conventions back in 2008, you're going to get them all over again. The last week of August is going to be the Republican convention, the first week in September, the Democratic convention. And my favorite part about the announcement of this, David, is the DNC chairman, Tim Kaine, in his blog posting about this, says that this is going to be the convention where President Obama is renominated along with Joe Biden. So he's declared re-election, Obama 2012.
He has selected
Obama
his
Biden
running mate for him already. I will say we are now going to see a whole new level of study in the polling of the convention bounce. Now that we'll have 2 convention years back-to-back presidential cycles where you can measure, do 2 conventions back-to-back impact the bounce of that first convention? Well, I'm sure there will be a Harvard paper on that before too long. And finally, over there, yes, we don't delve into international politics all that much, but we just can't resist this one. Gordon Brown went to the Queen today, asked for Parliament to be dissolved. This is no great surprise, but May 6th will be the general election in Great Britain, and it may be one of the most competitive general elections there in decades. This could end up, Rick, being a hung Parliament.
And how much fun would it be to cover a compressed timeline like this? I mean, everything's going to happen in the space of just a couple of weeks. That we stretch it out over so many months. And we should note, if you want to see Top Line in England, start lobbying our bosses right now. We'll do our best to do it. Email the big boys over at ABC.
You want to do it right there from Buckingham Palace?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm glad, by the way, we don't have a compressed 1-month campaign here because we would pretty much be out of a job.
Take us out of business.
Yeah, I'm really glad that's not the case. I know some of you tuning in expected to see Dr. Rand Paul, the Republican candidate for Senate, running in that primary there in Kentucky. We had some problems, technical difficulties. We're going to try to rebook him as a guest on Top Line soon. But we are joined by our intrepid White House reporter, Karen Travers, from the North Lawn of the White House to talk about this big nuclear announcement today out of the White House. Karen, thanks for being here. I want to understand if you can help us break down. A couple weeks ago, we got the announcement of this START treaty being re-signed, and that's dealing with nuclear issues between Russia and the United States. And now this is, it seems, a broader overall nuclear posture from the White House. How did these 2 nuclear announcements over the last couple of weeks intersect?
They complement each other, David and Rick. Essentially what the White House, the Obama administration, is going to announce today is that after months, up to a year of review, the nuclear posture review is going to be released. And what this does is lays out the Obama administration's broad goals for nuclear proliferation. And it does go with the president's stance last year when he gave that speech in Prague just 1 year ago, when he said he wants to see a world without nuclear weapons. And as you both noted, that's That's not going to happen in the president's lifetime. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But what they want to do is start laying out the example by which the United States can set for other countries to follow, essentially saying that the United States would not use a nuclear weapon to attack a country if they were first attacked. There's really setting some restrictions here, some limitations on the United States' use of nuclear weapons, and shifting into more a prevention of nuclear terrorism and proliferation mode. This is a shift in focus for the Obama administration, and it comes after a lot of reviews. We're going to get more details about this over the course of the day.
Karen, what's the thinking in putting this out in advance of the meetings with the Russians and in the summit next week? I mean, a lot of folks, some critics on the right particularly, are saying, look, they're negotiating away with themselves before they even sit down with the people that matter.
Well, the Obama administration has been clear that they want the Russians to go beyond the START treaty, and they want to actually, it took a lot to get them to agree to this. Those negotiations, of course, wrapped up well past their deadline. President Obama and President Medvedev will sign that in Prague this week. They wanted this wrapped up last year, but here we are now in April, and that signing will finally come. But now, once they get this on paper, the United States wants the Russians to go beyond this and try and really make even more restrictions on nuclear proliferation. It doesn't look like the Russians are willing to cave just yet on that. They're saying, whoa, slow down a little bit here. This is one step. So I think what they're trying to do today is the Obama administration puts that out there and say, look how far we're willing to go. We know we've signed this. We got that coming up in Prague. The president is hosting a multi-nation nuclear security summit next week. I think this lays the groundwork for the message the president wants to send, yet another step towards that goal that he laid out last year in that Prague speech.
Certainly they wanted to get this out before that summit you mentioned in Washington next week. Karen, delve into the politics a little bit with me here. It seems that, and they clearly are aware at the White House some of the politics of this, because I think they've taken Iran and North Korea and sort of separated them out here. I mean, we are dealing in a world where there is potential nuclear threat, if not to the United States directly, certainly to our allies like Israel. Iran has clearly trying to get a nuclear program going. How does the administration sort of take it to the American people in a way that convinces them we're not unilaterally disarming here, folks?
That's exactly right, because there are some concerns that you're basically saying we're going to let some security lapse here. Now, they're going to be outliers. Iran and North Korea will not count in that policy that is laid out today, of course, because they are concerned about the nuclear programs that both countries are pursuing. But going back to the politics of this, the START treaty that the president's going to sign this week in Prague requires 67 votes in the Senate. You know the math in the Senate right now. That, of course, means he needs Republican support to get this through. It does not look like they're going to have an easy road in the Senate this year. The White House is expected to introduce this on Capitol Hill sometime at the end of this month at the earliest, but there could be months before there's any progress on this. There'll be hearings. They're going to hear a lot of members of Senate coming out, of course, with some concerns about this. And nuclear experts are saying that if they can get something done by the end of the year, that would be a really big accomplishment. But perhaps that doesn't happen until after the election. Maybe the Republicans pick up more seats, have a little bit more leverage, but this doesn't look like it's going to be an easy road for the Obama administration if they want to get this done by Election Day.
Karen Travers, our reporter there at the White House, thank you very much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.